Most people think the biggest financial mistake is obvious. Something like buying expensive things, taking high-interest loans, or making bad investments. But the truth is different. The most expensive financial mistake often looks completely harmless. It's just one simple sentence, a sentence people casually say at dinner, with friends, or in a normal conversation. Something like, "I've saved about $100,000. It sounds innocent. You're just sharing good news. But in that exact moment, something invisible happens, and almost nobody notices it. When you say that sentence, you don't just share information. You change how people see you, and more importantly, you change what they expect from you. Before that moment, you were just a normal person, someone average, someone like everyone else, but after that sentence, you become the person who has money. And this creates a shift, a very subtle one, but powerful. People think the biggest financial risk is spending too much money, but the real trap is deeper. The real mistake is letting the world believe you can afford more than you should spend. Because once people believe you can afford something, that level becomes the expectation. And expectations are expensive, very expensive. Let's look at a simple example. Before, you go out with friends, you choose normal restaurants, order reasonably priced food, and split the bill. Everything feels natural. Now imagine your friends know you have serious savings. Nothing changes at first, nobody says anything. But slowly, things shift. They suggest slightly more expensive places, they assume you're fine with it. When the bill comes, there's a short pause. And suddenly, you feel like you should pay. Not because anyone asked, but because it feels expected. This is where it becomes dangerous. Nobody forces you. Nobody pressures you directly. But your brain starts doing something automatically. It tries to stay consistent with your image. If people see you as financially successful, your behavior starts adjusting without you noticing. Once you say you have money, your brain creates a new identity. I am a person who has money, and now you start protecting that identity. Imagine you are in a restaurant. There are two options, a meal for $15 and a meal for $30. Before, you would easily choose the cheaper one. After, you hesitate. Because now you think, will it look strange if I pick the cheap one? So you choose the more expensive option. Not because you need it, but because it matches your image. Now imagine group trips. Before, you would say, let's choose a cheaper hotel. After, you hesitate, because now you think, will it look strange if I pick the cheap one? So you choose the more expensive option. Not because you need it, but because it matches your image. Now imagine group trips. Before, you would say, let's choose a cheaper hotel. After, you feel uncomfortable saying that, so you agree to something more expensive. You spend more, and you don't question it. Now think about everyday purchases. Before, you keep your phone for years. After, you start thinking maybe it's time to upgrade. You can afford it, right, so you upgrade earlier. Each decision feels small, but that's the problem. None of these decisions look like mistakes. They are small. $20 here. $50 there. A few hundred this month. It feels like nothing, but over time, it becomes massive. Let's say you spend $400 more every month. That's $4,800 per year. Now imagine instead of spending that money, you invested it. With an average return over many years, that money could grow into hundreds of thousands. All lost because of small decisions. This is the part most people never notice. Money doesn't disappear because of big mistakes. It disappears because of small expectations. And expectations come from visibility. The more people know about your money, the more pressure you feel. Now imagine a different person. Same income, same savings. But they never talk about numbers. If someone asks, they just say, I try to save and invest a bit. No details, no numbers. What happens then? People don't create expectations. They don't assume anything. They don't adjust their behavior. And this person stays flexible, free. This is the real difference. One person gains status and recognition. The other keeps control and freedom. And in the long term, freedom wins. Think about money like a submarine. A submarine is powerful because it is hidden. It moves quietly. Nobody knows where it is. As long as it stays underwater, it is safe. But the moment it surfaces, it becomes a target. Your money works the same way. When your money is invisible, you make decisions freely. Nobody expects anything from you. You stay in control. But when your money becomes visible, expectations appear. Pressure grows, your behavior changes, and you lose freedom. Most people think the problem is that others will ask them for money. That happens sometimes, but it's not the main issue. The real problem is that you start spending more, even when nobody asks. Because your identity changed. Modern society teaches you to show success. Show your car, show your vacation, show your lifestyle. But nobody tells you that showing success creates pressure. And pressure costs money. Everything around you is designed this way. Social media rewards visibility. Brands sell status. Advertising pushes you to upgrade your life. Because the more visible you are, the more you spend. But real wealth works differently. Real wealth grows quietly. It doesn't need attention. It doesn't need approval. It grows through time, patience, and consistency. Money doesn't grow fast. It grows slowly, then faster. This is the power of long-term growth, but it only works if you protect it. If you don't interrupt it with unnecessary spending, visibility interrupts that growth. Because it creates small extra expenses again and again. And those small expenses slowly destroy the result. Imagine two people, both start with the same money. Both earn the same income. One talks about money and shows success. The other keeps everything private. Years later, the difference becomes huge.
Not because one was smarter, but because one stayed invisible. This leads to the most important idea. Wealth is not about looking rich. Wealth is about having the ability to choose your life. To choose your work. To choose your time. To choose your future. And that only comes from financial freedom. Most people lose this because they trade freedom for image. They upgrade their lifestyle too early. They show too much. They create expectations they can't escape. So remember this simple idea. Money grows faster when fewer people know about it. Before you tell someone how much you have, ask yourself one question. What will this change? Because it will change something. Even if you don't see it immediately.
Now let's go deeper. Understanding the idea is not enough. You need to see how it actually works in real life, and more importantly, how to avoid it. Let's start with a situation almost everyone experiences: work. Imagine you get a promotion, your income increases. Naturally, you feel proud you worked hard for it. During a casual conversation, you mention it, maybe not even the exact number. Just something like, "I'm doing pretty well now," or "Yeah, I got a good raise." It seems harmless, but again, something shifts. Your colleagues start seeing you differently. Now you are the one who earns more, and slowly, expectations begin to change. When coworkers suggest lunch, they choose slightly more expensive places. When there's a group gift, you are expected to contribute more. When someone needs help, they assume you can afford it. Nobody says it directly, but it's there. Now let's go deeper. Understanding the idea is not enough. You need to see how it actually works in real life, and more importantly, how to avoid it. Let's start with a situation almost everyone experiences: work. Imagine you get a promotion, your income increases. Naturally, you feel proud you worked hard for it. During a casual conversation, you mention it, maybe not even the exact number. Just something like, "I'm doing pretty well now," or "Yeah, I got a good raise." It seems harmless, but again, something shifts. Your colleagues start seeing you differently. Now you are the one who earns more, and slowly, expectations begin to change. When coworkers suggest lunch, they choose slightly more expensive places. When there's a group gift, you are expected to contribute more. When someone needs help, they assume you can afford it. Nobody says it directly, but it's there. Again, no one forces you, but the role is created. You become the responsible one. And that role is expensive. Now let's talk about social media. This is where everything becomes amplified. Every post becomes a signal. A vacation photo, a new phone, a nice restaurant, a new card, all of it sends a message. Even if you don't say anything directly, people are watching. They notice patterns, they build a story about you. And the more you show, the stronger that story becomes. But here's the dangerous part. At some point, you start believing that story yourself. You begin to think, this is who I am now. And once that happens, your behavior starts to change. You upgrade things faster, you choose better options more often. You spend more without even thinking about it. Not because you need to, but because it feels natural. It feels consistent with who you believe you are. This is what people call lifestyle inflation, but most people misunderstand it. They think it only happens when income increases. In reality, the main trigger is visibility. The more visible your success becomes, the faster your lifestyle grows. Now let's talk about a powerful psychological principle: consistency. Humans naturally want their actions to match their identity. If you describe yourself in a certain way, your brain tries to make your behavior align with that description. So if you think, I'm successful, then suddenly small, careful decisions start to feel uncomfortable. Choosing a cheaper option feels wrong, even if it makes perfect sense financially, so your brain avoids that discomfort. And it does it in the simplest way possible, by spending more, again, and again, and again. Now let's add another layer to this. Environment pressure. Imagine you buy something expensive. Maybe a watch, a car, or even move into a better apartment. At first, it feels great. Your clothes don't match anymore. Your furniture feels too simple. Even your habits start to feel smaller, so you begin upgrading other things. Not because you truly need to, but because your brain wants everything to feel aligned. This creates a chain reaction. One upgrade leads to another, then another, and slowly your entire lifestyle changes. This is how people trap themselves, not with one big mistake, but with many small adjustments. Now let's make this more real. Imagine two friends. Same age, same job, same starting point. One talks openly about money, shares progress, and shows their lifestyle. The other keeps everything private, lives normally, and doesn't reveal numbers. After a few years, the difference becomes clear. The second stays stable, controls spending, and invests more consistently. And here's the key idea. The difference isn't intelligence. It's environment. One created pressure. The other avoided it. Now let's talk about something even more important: freedom. Most people think money is for buying things, but that's not the real purpose.